Welcome to Men Making a Difference, PGSAO men who inspire and motivate.
Hello, Doyle Nieman. How are you?
I am doing very well.
Great.
Good.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have this discussion with you because I really want the public to know who you are. They often get to hear from me as the state's attorney. I know that some people know you because you're a former delegate, but you also play a very significant role here in the office. So I want them to know who you are, what you do here, and then I'm going to ask you a few other questions. So why don't you first tell everyone about your role in the office?
All right. So I have been in the office for almost 23 years here as an assistant state's attorney. So I've gone up through the ranks and done most everything there is. I serve now in chief of operations, which is technology and space and things. But more important, I am the head of the conviction and sentence integrity unit, which you created when you took office as a new initiative to really address some serious problems that, getting a lot of attention now, but have been problems for a long time. So we do two primary things. We look, on the first hand, we look for wrongful convictions. And we try to make sure that people aren't convicted of crimes they didn't commit. It's one of our ethical obligations, and we do take it seriously. But there are things, as we know and have seen, where mistakes are made. So our job is to try to look at those mistakes and investigate it, or claims that we have a wrongful conviction. That's how it starts. Somebody claims that, well, they're innocent and they were wrongfully convicted. And then our job is to go investigate that and see if indeed that's the case. And if it is, then to take immediate action to try to get them released. That's one thing we do. The second thing is we look at sentences and whether or not there was an issue of fairness, justice, and appropriateness in a sentence. Right now, our primary focus has been on juvenile lifers. These are young people who were juveniles under the age of 18, committed a serious crime, and usually it's a murder or a rape, when they were a juvenile and they got a sentence of life imprisonment, and they've spent now a long time in jail. And the question is, are they different from the person who committed the crime? And the Supreme Court has sort of set out a framework for this. They've understand and they've accepted what we now know scientifically in terms of brain development and child development, that young people, juveniles and what we're now calling emerging adults who are under the age of 25, really are not fully developed in their brains. They don't have the same degree of impulse control. They don't understand the consequences of what they do. They don't have any understanding of risk and reward and cost. And they do impulsive, stupid, and inappropriate things. But it's not a reflection of their true character. So they're not inherently incorrigible and beyond redemption. Supreme Court said that in that case, there needs to be a mechanism for the court and the legal system to look at those cases and say, should they continue to be locked up for long periods? So that's kind of what we do. In Prince George's County, we've identified more than 80 folks who were juveniles and received a life sentence, and 58, I think, somewhere in that range, have been in jail for more than 20 years. So they're the ones we're particularly looking at, that they've committed a crime. We're not arguing about that. And they've now spent a good portion of their life, many cases, the majority of their life, in prison. They've had a chance to be rehabilitated in some ways, to take note of the crime they committed, and also to change. So we're trying to create a way to review those cases and a mechanism to do something about them.
And can you talk about some of the challenges that we face trying to do this work? It's new, I think, for state's attorneys, certainly in Prince George's County, and I think throughout the state of Maryland, to take these proactive steps to really address what may be a disproportionate sentence, even though the crime itself was a very serious crime. But looking at what is just, and not just from the standpoint of when we prosecute cases or when we recommend sentences, but now we are on the back end, the person has been convicted, sentenced, and now we're relooking at their sentence and determining whether or not it's appropriate, and really looking at the whole person. So what challenges do we face, you know, especially legally? What are some challenges in the legal system that may prevent us from moving as quickly in doing this type of work?
Well, particularly with the sentence issue, there's no real clear mechanism to look at many of these cases. And there are a variety of protections built into the system that come into play early in the process after a conviction. People can appeal, they can ask to have a new trial, they can ask for reconsideration, they can file a complaint saying they didn't get good legal counsel. But in many of the cases we're looking at, that's already been done, and the courts have said there wasn't an issue. So we're now left with the question of, well, is it in light of today and who these people are as individuals today, and what we know about how children basically develop, is the sentence appropriate? And we don't have a clear mechanism for that. The legislature had some proposals last year, and they'll come back this year, which we supported, to set up a way to formally look at that. Not to ensure people are released, because we're not suggesting that's the answer across the board, but to look at each individual case in light of what we now know and say, should there be some reconsideration? And should we give these people an opportunity to have a second chance after suffering considerable punishment and spending a lot of time in jail?